Well, hello, I'm Matt George. Welcome to this ABC 10 Plus high school football special on the semifinals.
Yes, and I am Kevin John. Happy to see you guys. Thanks for joining us. We have a lot to cover, but let's start with a quick wrap of the high school season so far. Now, of course, every team vying for a shot at that coveted blue banner to hang, and of course, hopefully make it on to the state championships. Now, of course, not every team can make it this far. So we're here to talk about some of the teams that could make it to the promised land of making it to the state championship game. We got a lot of teams to go through here. So, Matt, I guess I'll kick things off with one of the top teams, the top team in the Sac-Joaquin section. They have been the top dogs all season long, and they're definitely the top dogs right now. Of course, I'm talking about no team other than the Folsom Bulldogs. You know, when it comes to a standard of excellence, there's the Folsom Bulldogs and there's pretty much everyone else, Matt. They will be seeking their 5th straight section title. We call that a 5-peat. They will also be seeking, get this, their 14th section banner. If you ever have driven past Folsom High School, you'll just see nothing but blue banners hanging up across the stands because there is a standard of excellence there. Now, when it comes to the players on this team, many of us are familiar with their quarterback, the best dual threat quarterback in the state of California and one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the nation in Ryder Lyons, the BYU commit. There is, any given game, there's nothing that he does that will cease to amaze you. I mean, this guy constantly raises the bar, constantly gets his team involved. But the good thing with him, Matt, he has a lot of playmakers out there. Jamison Powell, he's an incredible playmaker. Isaiah Williams, the guy you see right here taking this back for the touchdown. Powell is obviously a D1 commit. You have other guys on the defensive side of the ball like E.J. Coleman, really good linebacker. So this team is filled with depth. They're filled with talent. They're filled with great coaching and Paul Doherty and squad. And really, the expectation is for Folsom to win the section title this year. I think if there's pressure on any one of the teams, it is Folsom because we know what they can do. And they will be looking to win their 2nd state title in the last 3 years. So a lot of people excited about Folsom in Division I. But, Matt, there's another team out there that's undefeated right now in Division II, who's pretty darn good and we should keep our eye on.
Yeah, I mean, the Folsom Bulldogs are the example of excellence at the top of the Sac-Joaquin section, but there are a lot of teams that are right next to those Folsom Bulldogs that are very, very dangerous, including the Manteca Buffaloes, a team that has not lost all year long. They're a perfect 11-0. And when you talk about run game, there's probably not a better team at running the football maybe in the entire state of California, right? If you go down to Southern California, the weather's nice out there. They like to air the ball out. Some good running backs in SoCal too. But up here in Northern California, Manteca Buffalo football is really ground and pound. They have an incredible offensive line that opens up amazing holes and just so many playmakers that can really get the job done with their feet. This is a team that is made for postseason football, right? Because this is the time of year where it gets chilly, it can rain. The playoffs and beyond Thanksgiving, beyond section championships into state games and things of that nature are typically where you're battling the elements a lot more than in August, September, October, when we're waiting for things to cool down a little bit. So the Manteca Buffaloes are just a force to try and stop. I don't know if you've ever stood in front of an actual buffalo before, but usually you just want to get the heck out of the way. The Manteca Buffaloes are kind of the same way, and they are facing a St. Mary's Rams team who's also been a juggernaut in this section in their own right. And the St. Mary's Rams, they're extremely scrappy. They just won a absolute shootout, hard-fought, back-and-forth game against Jesuit. That's the type of team that you might like against a Manteca Buffaloes team because they've proven they can handle whatever is thrown at them. So I like this matchup with St. Mary's, but until someone beats the Manteca Buffaloes, we shouldn't expect the Manteca Buffaloes to lose.
You know, it's interesting. Manteca Buffaloes, this year they go by the motto, "We will hit you." And Matt, it's safe to say that these Buffaloes will not just hit you, they will run you over. You see Nico Suarez right there, one of the best running backs in the section right there. But I agree with everything you said, Matt. This is definitely a squad to keep your eye on. Now, another squad that I would like to talk about may not have as great a record as the 11-0 Manteca Buffaloes or the 10-1 Folsom Bulldogs, but they come in at 7-4. But they are the defending Division II state champions. That is the Grant Pacers. They actually moved them up to Division I this year because that's what you do when you dominate your division. You get moved up. Now, the Grant Pacers didn't get off to the best start this season. They were, 3-3 midway through, but this is a team that knows how to turn it on when it matters the most. We saw that last year. They lost a few games early on in the season, and then they kind of caught their stride later on in the year. Now, this year is particularly different because they've gone through, 3 different quarterbacks already, and it's hard to find the chemistry when you go through that many different quarterbacks throughout the season. But Grant has been able to sustain just the overall excellence and talent with them. And part of that is due to their coaching squad. You have Coach Carl Reed, who's been over there for a long time and has really built a championship program with the Grant Pacers. Now, they will also be seeking their 4th section title. I already said they will be looking to defend, well, not technically defend their state championship because their state championship last year was in Division II, but they will be looking to win another state championship this year. Now, obviously, they have a lot of playmakers as well. Kobe Shabazz, he's a wide receiver, DB. He's committed to Sac State, so he's staying here in the 916. The person who you just saw catch the ball right there, that is Zoe Edwards. He is committed to the University of Oregon, an incredible pass catcher. He has length, size, athleticism. And the thing about Grant is, in addition to their talent and skill set, they have a little attitude that they play with. If you're going against the Grant Pacers, you're going to feel that Pacer attitude and that grit and that swagger that kind of comes with, that kind of comes with their culture there at Grant. But with that being said, this is a team who knows how to win. They won on the highest level, and it'll be interesting to see how they fare in Division I this season as we go throughout the section playoffs. But a really good team, to say the least.
The Grant Pacers are facing the Oak Ridge Trojans for a chance to compete for a section title this week. That's actually our ABC 10 game of the week. I was just actually out at their practice, Kevin, and they had arguably the most difficult schedule in the state to start their season, right? Opening up against Folsom, and they played teams like De La Salle, right? Went down, like they challenged themselves early on. And typically when teams are very intentional about a tough early season schedule, sometimes the record doesn't show them off to be as good as you would think they would be. But those lessons that you learn early are really what you see help carry you through big, important playoff games like this. So I'm really interested to see what the Grant Pacers look like over these next couple weeks. A team that is also undefeated, a team that has just been dominating year after year, really since they opened, which was only a few years ago. That's the 12 Bridges Raging Rhinos. Now, the Raging Rhinos have a bit of unfinished business. They got all the way to the state title game last year, lost in Southern California. So they're eager to get back there and actually get the job done this time. They're 11-0, and this is an offense that is simply sensational, Kevin. They average 48 points a game. To open the playoffs, they put up 71 points on Fairfield, right? This is just a dynamic offense that can hit you and score on you in so many ways. Chris Bean and his coordinators, his staff down there, have just managed to take these kids in Lincoln and turn them into a powerhouse again year after year after year. The lowest amount of points that they scored in a game this season was 38, and that was the only time they were held under 40. So you look at an East Union Lancer team, which that's my wife's alma mater, so she's going to be out there hoping for the best for them. But the East Union Lancers are a team that's also able to score a lot of points. But really, the best thing that you can hope to do against Lincoln, or rather 12 Bridges, is just somehow try and slow them down as best as possible, because 12 Bridges is made for shootouts. Now, typically you see less shootouts this time of year because of the weather and things of that nature. But if this team can get back to the sunshine in SoCal for state title games, Kev, I don't know if they're coming home empty-handed again.
Oh, absolutely. And you got to realize last year when they went to the state title game, you talked about the average of 48 points a game. They were held to under 20 points last year in the state title game. I believe they had 14 or 15 in that game. So obviously they were able, the opposing team, Oxnard, I believe, was able to, shut down that offense, but they're definitely a high-powered offense over there. Always fun to watch. Chris Beam just done a phenomenal job with this program, and they know how to put up points, and they have quite a few athletes on both sides of the ball who know how to fly around to the ball and get busy. Speaking of athletes on both sides of the ball, the next team that I want to talk about is actually in Division 5, okay? We got to give some of the smaller divisions some love. And over in Division 5, that's nothing other. They're out of Orangeville, the Casa Roble Rams. And this is a team who definitely knows a thing or two about playing late in the postseason. It was actually just 2 years ago when Casa Roble was playing against the team we just talked about, 12 Bridges, for a section title. That game went into overtime where Casa Roble was able to finish the job against 12 Bridges. Probably still to this day one of the most epic section football championship games that we've had. But they're anxious to get back in that game. They will be seeking their second section title in the last 3 years. And throughout a lot of these highlights that you're watching right there, one person that you will see in pretty much each and every one of them is their senior quarterback, Aiden Lopez. This is someone who has definitely led that offense, throughout the whole season. And when I say lead them, not just with the skill set, not just with throwing touchdowns, but with leadership, with poise. He's given the ability to do a lot of things at the line of scrimmage, whether that's audible, see what the defense is giving him. Very smart player, and it's been incredible just to watch him grow and develop throughout the season. And as you can see as well, they have quite a few talented pass catchers as well. You wouldn't think this is a Division 5 school when you go out and watch them play. I think Casa Roble can compete with Division 2, Division 3 on up with the amount of talent they have on both sides of the ball. Also want to give a shout out to their coaching staff, Coach Horner and company. He's been there for a considerable amount of time and really built this program into what it is and what you see there. Now, the interesting thing is, Matt, believe it or not, this team is actually playing with heavy hearts this season. They lost one of their players, Julian Snyder, last year. So you'll see the number 52 on some of their helmets. You'll see it throughout the stands if you go to their games. They basically have dedicated this season to Julian Snyder, who unfortunately passed away and was on this team last year. So they definitely want to finish the job for him. But with that being said, they got a lot of athletes. Mason Higbee, another receiver who's incredible. And it'll definitely be interesting to see how far this Casa Roble team can go just with the pieces they have and what Coach Horner has implemented into this squad. They're a lot of fun to watch.
Well, Kevin, it won't surprise you and shouldn't surprise anybody who's followed our high school football coverage for the last handful of years. The last team that I'm going to end with is a team that's close to my own heart. I'm talking about my alma mater, Wood Creek High School, my Timberwolves. This was an interesting season for Wood Creek because they went through a coaching change the first season under Kyle Stowers, and they graduated a fair few star seniors from last year's team. So we were really curious about how good is this Timberwolves team going to be? We expect them to always be competitive in their section, in their division. So I'm very curious. We were very curious to see what the Timberwolves would look like. But what I sensed or what I got from talking with Coach Stowers and talking with this team earlier in the season is that the internal expectations are bigger and stronger than anything externally, right? This is a team that has the highest expectations for themselves, and even after every win, as they continue to stack wins and stack wins and stack wins, they knew that they could do better. They knew that they could do more. They strive and demand perfection over there. Coach Stowers has really instilled in this team to learn from every snap, learn from every play, learn from every yard, because all of those lessons are going to matter, and you don't know which ones you're going to draw upon when you're in the trenches of these potentially section title games, semifinal games, and maybe even beyond into NorCal and state games. So the Wood Creek Timberwolves, their only loss this season was at the hands of the Inderkum Tigers, a 38-35 battle between those two squads. And they've already beaten the Rio Americano Raiders, who they are playing again this week. That's a conference rival. They beat them 20-7 earlier on. So everything says, hey, they should be advancing to a state title game. They should be able to get the job done again. But if there's any game you want to win, it's the playoff game, not necessarily the regular season game. So Wood Creek has to be aware that Rio Americano is going to come out. They can play like there's nothing to lose. And this is where if Kyle Stowers' teachings and coaching comes into play, they won't worry about what they've done in the past. They have to focus on the future. I like this Wood Creek Timberwolves team a lot. Excited to see how they can continue to represent the West Roseville area, hopefully in Hughes Stadium and beyond next week.
Yeah, and the thing that's interesting, you reference Kyle Stowers a lot, who's come in and done a phenomenal job in his first year there as head coach. But, you know, the interesting thing with some of these programs is you always wonder how they're going to be under new leadership. Obviously, Bradley Hunkins was their head man in charge at Wood Creek for several years and really had that thing up and running. They switch head coaches. Stowers comes in. They don't miss a beat. They keep going strong. And, Matt, I got to hand it to you. You are able to cover your alma mater in a very impartial, unbiased way. I'll tell you one thing. If that was my alma mater, Bear Creek, I'd be all over them saying, good luck to everyone out there. You're not beating my Bruins. So,
well, the good news is no matter if the Wood Creek Timberwolves win or lose, we're guaranteed to have great football games. Like, that's the best part of covering the Sac-Joaquin section in this time of year is just every single game and every single division is must-see. It's entertaining, high drama, right? We're very spoiled with the talent hotbed that is Northern California football, the Sac-Joaquin section. So hopefully we're able to kind of shed some light on that in this show here today. But if there's a game near you, even if you don't have really a rooting interest in any of the teams and you're looking for something to do on a Friday night, go. You are not just going to see some really, really intense, fun, competitive football. Now, you're going to be watching tomorrow's stars that will be playing at the D1 level in college and maybe even the pros beyond that. So we're very fortunate, no matter who's playing, that we get some great football games.
Absolutely. And you mentioned the pros. I mean, it's hard to watch a Sunday where you don't see somebody from Sac-Joaquin section playing. If you watch Monday Night Football last night, Deron Bland, who plays for the Dallas Cowboys, is at a Central Catholic in Modesto. And he played in the Sac-Joaquin section, went on to Sac State, and so on and so on. The Cam Scadaboos of the world, Jake Browning of the world who played at Folsom. I mean, it's hard any given Sunday not to watch someone who has come from this area. So I want to echo his sentiments in that, or what he stated, in the sense that the talent is born and raised here in the 916. And we'll probably have quite a few teams representing this area, whether the 916-209-530, the Sac-Joaquin section, heading to Southern California for the state championships, which will be in a few weeks. Remember, we had 4 teams who made it to the Southern California for the state championship last year, and the 12 Bridges Raging Rhinos, the Grant Pacers, of course, who won, Sonora, the Sonora Wildcats, who ended up winning a state title, the Somerville Bears, who made it out there, won a state title, and I can't forget about the Bandon Vikings out of Fairfield, who made it to Southern California last year and won a state championship. So I guess that's 5 teams if I'm counting correctly. But with that being said, Matt, I'm sure quite a few teams from this area will make it to Southern California to play for a state championship because, as we all know, NorCal runs things when it comes to football. So, but I don't know, SoCal may not believe with that. But
well, we're still a ways away from the state title games, and we'll get there when we get there. But ultimately, teams are playing for an opportunity to play in a section championship game at Hughes Stadium, Sac City College. That's an incredible football environment. So, I mean, one game at a time, right? That's the cliche we hear a lot of coaches and players talk about. So win one more so you can play one more. The saying is you want to be able to practice on Thanksgiving. Well, whoever wins this week is going to be practicing on Thanksgiving. So I look forward. I can't wait for these games Friday night.
Absolutely. You and me both. It's going to be exciting. And, of course, we'll have all of that stuff right here on ABC 10 every Friday night. And, of course, for our section championships the following weekend. Well, guys, thank you so much for watching this ABC 10 Plus special this week. Now, we're here 24/7 on the free ABC 10 Plus streaming app.
You can get your local news, your weather, anytime, anywhere. So make sure you check out and download that app. And I'm Matt George. That's Kevin John. Take care. We'll see you next time.